So there are a ton of skills to unlock in Assassin's Creed Shadows. Both Yasuke and Nawe have 6 whole skill trees each, and I must say, after clocking over 30 hours, I think they are some of the deepest skill trees in the entire Assassin's Creed franchise, which obviously means there are a lot of choices to be made, especially early on when you're trying to figure out which ones of these you want to get first. Now, just yesterday, I did a video going over pretty much the best early skills to unlock for Nawe, and today we're going to be doing the exact same thing, going over some of the best early skills you should be unlocking for Yasuke in Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, the first one I've got here is called Sheathed Attack, and this can be found in the Long Katana tab. And this is one that I definitely slept on. I didn't get this right away, and as soon as I unlocked it, I found myself using this way more than I initially expected. Now, what this essentially does is it allows Yasuke to do kind of like a high damage strike, where he will actually sheath his katana, but hold it and then essentially pull it out of the sheath and deal a high damage attack that not only just looks really cool, but is very, very useful. Not only, like I said, does it deal more damage, but it will also break the enemy's guard, and it seems to be a lot quicker than the regular posture attack, which is why I think this is an option. Obviously, if it was slower, there would be kind of no point in doing that, but because it's a little bit quicker, this is seemingly a good alternative to using those regular posture attacks. So definitely give this one a look. In my opinion, it is really, really solid. Not only is it very useful, but it also just allows you to change up your playstyle a little bit instead of just spamming the same buttons over and over. It just adds one of those things that you can sort of add to your combo and makes the combat, at least to me, feel a little bit more fluid. Now, the next skill I wanted to mention is called Riposte, and this one is also found in the Long Katana tab. What this one does is it's almost like the easy version of a parry, I guess, so you don't have to worry too much about the parry timing. Now, obviously, parry timing isn't that hard in this game anyway, but what this one does is that if you're just holding the block instead of trying to time it perfectly, if you hold that block and then the enemy hits you, then you let go of that block ability and it will actually instantly damage them, which is very, very useful. On top of that too, like I said with the sheath attack, this one just kind of looks cool and it will change up your playstyle instead of just hitting the exact same parry every time and then going into the exact same attack that you do every other time. This just adds another layer of depth to the combat, in my opinion. And when you get all of these sort of skills together, it just means you can play in a lot more ways than just the simple like light attack and heavy attack and stuff like that. So definitely check this one out, and it's actually going to lead us perfectly into our next ability. Now, this one is essentially the upgrade to the Riposte attack. This one is called Energizing Defense, and all this really does is when you do use that Riposte ability, each time you do that, it will now restore 5% of your health. Now, I find this to be really useful. I've been playing on the expert difficulty, and I won't lie, there are times when this game is pretty damn hard. And so by unlocking this ability, it means that you can kind of have a way to almost farm free health, because all you need to do is just perfectly parry your enemies, hit that Riposte ability, and each time you do that, you will just gain 5% of your health back. So you can pretty much just continuously spam this over and over again if you need to get some health back, while obviously at the same time dealing damage to your enemies. It's almost like you're trading health with them at the end of the day. And so yeah, this one in combination with that regular Riposte skill is a really good combo that not only allows you to get some quick damage on your enemy, but will actually gain you some very, very easy health back as well. Now, just quickly before we go any further, guys, I wanted to mention that channel memberships have been overhauled and brought back finally, and for less than the price of a single coffee once per month, you can gain access to a bunch of awesome benefits while also supporting me and my content here on YouTube. By becoming a member, you'll gain early access to pretty much all of the videos that I upload, often days before anyone else gets to see them. You'll get exclusive members only content such as my first hour series and even some behind the scenes content too. You can even vote on upcoming content to have your say in what you want to see next on the channel, and you'll even get access to a permanent 15% off code for all merch in the store, private access to our Discord server, as well as loyalty badges next to your name in the comment section and in live chats as well. If you're looking to support the channel and all of that sounds enticing to you, then please do consider hitting that join button. But with that being said, let's get stuck back into the video. Now, the next skill that we've got here is one that is very, very useful, and this is something that I've seen a lot of people saying you can't do in this game. That is obviously absolutely incorrect. Now that I'm going to show you how to do it. This one is called the Brutal Assassination, and it can be found in the Samurai tab. And this ability will finally allow Yasuke to play stealthy, despite, like I said, a lot of people saying you can't do that. Now, obviously his stealth is not as good as Nawe. That is obvious from the very first trailer that we ever saw. But once you unlock this, it does mean that you are able to play stealthily, and how you can technically do it before this. It's just obviously a lot harder because you can't assassinate enemies. But once you get this, you can finally do those assassinations. Obviously not with a hidden blade. He will just use his katana, but it still works really well. And honestly, playing stealthy as Yasuke is actually a really fun challenge. Although I don't generally play this way, I do enjoy trying to stay hidden with Yasuke and kind of see how long I can last, because obviously he is not meant to be played that way. Now, on top of being very useful, the assassinations that Yasuke can do just look absolutely dope. It shows how freaking strong this guy is. He just picks them up on his katana and throws them away like they're a little ragdoll, which I personally think just looks awesome. And so even if you're not actually planning on playing stealthy, in my opinion, this ability is still worth it, because it means you can kind of walk up to a group of enemies. If they aren't alerted to you straight away, in terms of like you're not in a restricted area, so there's no reason for them to attack you, it means you can get this kill right away by doing the assassination. They will obviously then be alerted to you, and it means that you don't have to stay stealthy. You can just get that first kill. And to me, it looks awesome. It looks like so intimidating to do this in front of a bunch of enemies. They must all just be thinking, what the hell, this guy just picked up our friend on his sword and threw him away like it was nothing. And yeah, it just opens up some really cool gameplay abilities, even if you don't plan on staying stealthy. Now, the next ability is once again just an improved version of this. This one is called literally improved Brutal Assassination, and this is the exact same thing, but you can now do this on the bigger enemies, which previously you cannot use that ability on. Now, obviously it's pretty much the same thing, so I'm not going to go too in depth on this one, but all I'll say is that if you are playing on expert difficulty, this one is absolutely clutch for kind of just dealing with that hardest enemy in a pack right away before then taking on the rest. Usually if you're fighting like 5 or 6 enemies and there is one of these bigger enemies and a bunch of smaller ones, the big one is usually the one that will cause you the most trouble. And so taking them out straight away with an instant kill is just so clutch on that harder difficulty. And so if you are playing on expert and you just enjoy the look of that initial Brutal Assassination ability, definitely upgrade to this one as well. It is very much worth it. And again, it just looks absolutely awesome. Now, the final one for this video is called Heavy Impact. Keep in mind, you will need the War Kick ability for this. I'm pretty sure you unlock that right away, so you should have that unlocked, but if not, you'll just need to unlock that one. And these abilities can be found in the Samurai tab. Now, obviously you guys will know that Yasuke can do that heavy kick where he will just pretty much yeet enemies away. But prior to unlocking this, you can only do that on like regular sized enemies. If there is a big heavy or something, you can kick them, but it won't really do too much at all. But once you've unlocked this, you will actually be able to do that on those heavy enemies, which I've got to say, it does also look pretty hilarious, just seeing a massive giant of a person just being absolutely sent. But this is also just really clutch for dealing with large groups. Like I mentioned earlier, if you're fighting 5 or 6 enemies and there is one of them that's bigger, they are usually kind of annoying. Having this ability means you can just kick them away. They'll obviously be staggered for a little bit. They'll have to run back to the fight. And in that time, it means you can kind of deal with the little fellas, taking out all of those other little enemies. And then usually you can be left with the really enjoyable 1v1 with the big guy. So this one to me is one of the best abilities that I've unlocked as Yasuke. So you definitely do not want to be sleeping on it. But that is going to do it for some of the best early abilities when it comes to playing as Yasuke. If there's any you think I missed, then be sure to leave them down in the comments section. But with that being said, thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.